Ciao ragazzi, CP here with JPWR Talk, and my great friends Andrea and Rob are with me. We're going to have a look through all the latest Juventus news, and we're going to keep half an eye on the France-Germany game. It's 1-0 to France, and Andrea is going to keep a nice eye on Adrien Rabiot for us, see how well he performs now that he's playing with France. So how are you guys doing? Andrea, how are you?
Good, good. How are you, Mr. Collin? Thank you for inviting me again.
As always, you're welcome. How about you, Rob? How are you getting on?
Yeah, really good. Really good. And again, thank you for having me back. It's great to be back on.
Very nice. And just everyone in the chat, if you're on Twitter, jump in and give us a comment. If you're on YouTube, do the same. And if you're listening on Spotify, you're very welcome also. So with that, I'm gonna jump into our first topic of the evening. As usual, Ronaldo is nowhere to be found wanting. You know, he's involved in almost every show we do. So all the latest on Ronaldo potentially leaving Juventus. I know Andrea thinks he's gone already. He did a press conference on the eve of today's game, and he didn't say yes or no, and he didn't seem kind of, you know, affirmative about anything. And I think a lot of people are reading into it and to think he's looking for a new challenge. He's you know, maybe just can't announce it yet, or what can you say? People are waiting for him to leave. What do you guys think?
You're right when you say that he's waiting for a new challenge. I think, my personal opinion, that he's already gone, because I think he already has his plans. But it also might be that waiting for a new challenge, you don't know if the new challenge comes from Juventus or another team, because Juventus is changing pretty much everything with Allegri, Cherubini, and Arriva Bene. So It might be that Ronaldo choose to stay and try to win the Champions League with the only team that couldn't actually win this trophy with. Who knows?
Ciao, Stephen. What do you think, Rob?
I agree. I think that the 1 foot is out the door for sure. I don't think there's any that you wouldn't have this much smoke if there was no fire.
Yeah.
It's not a case of, I mean, they say, is there a market for him to take on, you know, what is it going to, we're going to ask for 20, 30 million to cover the last year of his book balance and then his wages. But with him, there is always a market. But maybe one or two things need to happen first. Maybe some of the other clubs like Paris Saint-Germain, which looks like the most likely destination, they need to maybe do a bit of business before anything moves on that front. I would be surprised at this stage if he remained at Juventus. Really, really would be surprised. But again, as Andrea said, maybe, you know, if he did stay, it would be a very different Juventus than the Juventus he had last season. So that might well be enough of a challenge if nothing materializes with Paris Saint-Germain.
I think, I mean, the fact that he's not confirming his wish to stay with Juventus is kind of enough for most Juve fans. You know, if he was going to stay, he'd say he's going to stay. So he's obviously looking for a way out. Will it happen for him is the only other thing. But I mean, I hope we don't end up in a situation where he doesn't find a way out and he's got to come back, and then everybody knows, oh, look, you wanted to leave. You know, it becomes a bit awkward. I don't think it'd be awkward for him. He's professional enough to do a job no matter where he is. I mean, we're just looking at the game, the way it went today. He got 2 goals. Again, you know, the second goal he got, a fantastic move by Portugal. And, you know, it really was a world-class goal. I was impressed by Portugal today as well, guys. What did you see it?
I didn't watch the game. But Ronaldo scored twice again. That's a constant stat, you know.
Absolutely. Antonio's coming in here. He says, "Ciao amici, mate." Ciao, Antonio. And ciao, Colin from Empinland. Ciao, Empinland. How are you getting on? So yeah, I think he's gonna go. I kind of, with everything, I hope it gets wrapped up pretty quickly, because I mean, I think it kind of blocks our transfer market a little bit. If we've got to look after or a potential Ronaldo transfer. I mean, do you guys think the Dybala situation depends on him, or do you think that they're related?
I think it's they're both part of the same problem. I mean, Ronaldo is not only holding the transfer market situation for Juventus. Dybala is also another one. With Donnarumma, we said that Szczesny might be also one of these situation, and I'm not talking about the midfield, where we have many players. We all have our names in mind, and we know that it's not going to be easy to sell them, no. So I think our market is stuck, not only because of Ronaldo or Dybala. They not necessarily connected each other. It's just a hard market. It was last year, and it's going to be hard this year too.
Yeah, and
okay.
No cash.
No cash.
No cash whatsoever. So,
what do you think, Rob?
Yeah, no, I think the Ronaldo deal is obviously, if he does go, it will give us a little bit more room to manoeuvre than if he was to remain. You know, you can't ignore the fact that his wages are just incredibly. I'd say they are burdensome. I know he gives a lot to the team. He scores all the goals, and he's a big focal point. He brings all the marketing, but those wages, they really truncate our ability to improve the squad really across the board. Now, when you replace him, you don't replace him like for like, because you cannot find a player to replace him like that. But what you've got to do is then use whoever we do bring in, or whatever money we do bring in, to start a new project. And Dybala, which you just to bring it back to Dybala, if the idea is Allegri wants to build with Dybala, which we've seen more than once it reported, well, you know, whoever we do bring in, it may have we have to bring in a system which makes the most of Dybala's game. I think he'll want to bring in another number 9 to complement Morata as well, and offer an alternative. And we may well have to look for cheaper alternatives to, you know, play in Ronaldo's position and act as a replacement for him.
Yeah,
that's my feelings.
Do you know, one of the funny things I noticed about today's game is the Portugal game I watched, and Ronaldo, he didn't drift out to the left-hand side once in the entire game. He stayed pretty much through the center. Sometimes he let Bruno Fernandes run past him, and he dropped a bit deep, but he never went out to the left at all. And that's something that that he did pretty much every game. He spent half his game out there with Juventus, you know. Now he scored 36 goals this year, but, you know, a lot of times we were listening to people saying, you know, Ronaldo kind of he stops the team playing because he won't stay up front. Do you know what I mean? He goes left, he drops deep, he does kind of what he wants, but he doesn't seem to be doing that with Portugal for some reason. And it's working for them. So I was very surprised at that.
But then they've got a couple of players. They've got players that really are really good on the ball. That they get into those tight spaces. They can turn on a sixpence. They can find in between the channels, find the pass in the channels. You know, he doesn't feel. I believe he doesn't need to drop deep to get the ball. He doesn't have to drip to the left to get the ball. If he stays put, the ball will find him. So we just need to find. If he was to remain, yeah, we'd need to find a way maybe of looking to push him more centrally.
Yeah.
Also, Portugal is playing, the whole team of Portugal selection is playing for Ronaldo, and is built around Ronaldo. In my opinion, Juventus failed doing so in the last 2 seasons. So, we didn't actually um, get the chance to use the asset, and that's why the last Ronaldo most of the time was upset in the pitch, because that's part of his character, personality. He was doing it with Real Madrid. He was doing
Yes.
it with Manchester United when he was a kid. So we know it can happen. But the first failing was it was us. Because we didn't build a team around him.
Yeah, I agree. Just to come in on Maxi's comment here, he's saying I think we're talking too much about Ronaldo leaving or not about Dybala, who hasn't signed a contract Juventus offered him months ago. He says the chances that Ronaldo will stay are higher than Dybala. Yeah, that's kind of how we got onto the topic. We were just saying that, do we think that the two operations are linked? Is potentially Dybala waiting to see what happens with Ronaldo before, he makes his decision, because that offer's been on the table for 6 months now. And maybe it's not just about renegotiating the money. Maybe it's about where he is and being central to the project. That's kind of it's a potential outcome. Here's our man. He's saying he's waving. How are you getting on, man? Nice to see you, buddy. I kind of want to move on to another topic here. Another long-running saga this year has been Manuel Locatelli potentially moving to Juventus. I know everybody's talking about it. We've talked about it before. Today I read in Tutto Sport that it's that Dragusin may be used as a make-weight to get him to come. Juventus apparently don't have the 40 million. Last week we were saying 40 million like it's nothing. Tutto Sport today are saying 40 million. Juventus can't put it out in one go. Carnevali has said that he wants cash in the past. We know that. So, I mean, what would you guys think of letting go of Dragusin and the implications of letting him go as well to get Locatelli? So it probably would be Dragusin for maybe 15 million or max, and then 25 for Locatelli. What do you think, Antonio? Sorry, not Antonio. Andrea.
Well, it's a letter A anyway. So, to Colin, you know what I think about the 40 millions topic. I can't really give an opinion on Dragusin because I've seen him playing once or 1.5 game probably, no?
Yeah.
So for sure, it's a shame when you have a young player that you raised in your cantera, and you need to let him go. It's always a shame. Also because we know he has potential to become a great player, but at the same time, we have been talking so far about the very hard situation, economic situation. It means that
Ciao, Rennes.
ciao Renis. In Italy we say a mali estremi, estremi rimedi. No, so if we need to let Dragusin go because we decide we wanna bet on Locatelli, and then we bet on Locatelli. I believe Juventus has to be able to sign whoever decide is the right player for the project.
Yeah, I think he's worth the 40. Really, for me, the implications of letting Dragusin go. For me, it makes it more likely. I'm going to get onto it in the next topic, but makes it more likely that the likes of Rugani could end up staying at Juventus after his loan, because you give away someone who was on the bench for a good lot of the games and started some games in the Coppa, and he could potentially have grown into, I'm not going to say a starter this year, but he has a lot of potential. But then you have Rugani coming back, and if Juventus want to save money, he could be kept. So, I mean, what do you think about that, Rob? Do you think, first of all, the topic in general?
Well, Locatelli in general. I mean, I've been reading links this evening that he's been linked to Bayern Munich now as well, and I know, you know, they're going to be able to have a lot more financial clout than we will. Dragozin, as Andrea said, is if you lose someone that you raised in your academy, you brought them through, you know, and then you see him go, it's disappointing. We've seen a lot of players come through and leave and go on, and, you know, and we've missed them, and it's been in positions that we've needed. But that being said, it's such a difficult financial time at the moment, and it's before we start looking at the wider squad, the first 11 needs major surgery as far as I'm concerned. And if you can bring in an Italian international who is wanted by the likes of, he's been linked to Manchester City, Bayern Munich, if we can get in that player and we can get him for, you know, 25, 30 million plus Dragozin, you do it. As far as I'm concerned, you do it. And it's a shame, but
yeah.
I think it's different. If we had a really good first 11, a really good 12, 13, 14 players last season, and we're looking to just improve the squad, I'd probably say no. But we've got to really improve that first 11, and you have to make sacrifices. And we can only do that with players that other teams want. We can't say to them, well, have Rugani instead, because they'll say, well, thank you, but no thank you.
No, thank you. See, that's the problem. We could end up having to buy another centre-back because of it, because we know Rugani he's not Juventus material. He should never have left Empoli, like, you know, so unfortunately. And waiting for him has been almost as bad as waiting for Dybala at times, you know. So, yeah. And I like Dragozin. That's the thing I like. I mean, he's a guy with potential, and I prefer potential over knowing for a fact the other guy isn't up to it. So, Maxi's coming in, he says, what's he saying? Locatelli can stay where he is for 40 million. At that point, swap Dybala for Pogba. Both of them are in the same situation, and get Fagioli on the pitch. I think Fagioli might have a role to play. Plus, if Demiral goes, I don't think Dragozin will leave. But you see, that's the thing. Yeah. If Demiral goes, like, you're looking at losing two centre-backs then. I don't know. I mean, this was only an article in Tudor Sport. There's nothing confirmed about it, but, you know, we'll see if it grows. Mr. T says, hey guys, what do you think is the best realistic solution for the striker position? Morata has sadly been looking for his form since 2015. I don't know. I kind of like Morata, but I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, he started in a great way. Morata was one of the leaders at the beginning of the season. Then he went through hard times with the virus and all the problem, the physical problem that he had. But Morata is one of us, guys, and in a tough situation like this one, it's good to have Morata in the roster. And hopefully next year he's gonna come back in great shape. And Allegri said something important about Morata. He said he's a win or win situation. I mean, win or lose situation player, you know. For important games when you need to win in order to go ahead, to go forward, he's always a winner. He always put his sign, you know. So good to have Morata. I like him. I'm glad to have him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think realistically, I don't think that there is anybody that we can afford who would want to come that is better than him. I'll be honest, there isn't. You have to maybe take a chance on a younger player. And we've been linked to Gabriel Jesus, which I'd be very surprised. Aguero's leaving Manchester. He's left Manchester City now. He's at Barcelona. They've been linked to Harry Kane. They'll probably be out prior. I can't see that one happening this summer either. So I can't see Jesus leaving Manchester City. I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah.
Moise Kean, maybe, if depending on what happens at Paris Saint-Germain, maybe is coming in as a rotational option for us. That could be realistic. But, you know, where we see people linking us with the likes of Vlahovic, I think that's, you know, as good as he is, we can't afford him. And they don't want to sell to us.
No.
He still hates Juventus. He sold us Chiesa last year. He's not selling us him this year. No way. So
I think he hates Juventus now, even though he was a supporter of them as a kid, allegedly. Stephen is saying, do you think they're waiting on the sale of Demiral before a move to Locatelli? I think somehow the money's going to have to come in. The money's going to have to come in from somewhere. Like, we've been told that they need 100 million raised plus Valencia by the end of June. So midway through June now, 15th of June. What can you
it's a shame,
say?
It's a shame, Colin. Demiral should stay with us.
He should stay with us, yeah. Do you think so?
I think so. I mean, when you have and also he also come from a very tough time. I mean, there is potential in Demiral. I'm talking about immediate potential in a short time. Next season, it might be a great teammate for the lead. I think the defense, Juventus defense, should start from Demiral and the lead guys.
Yes. And what do you think? Like, do you think he's going to keep Allegri's going to keep both Senatori, Bonucci, Chiellini, Axis, both of them?
I hope no.
Hope not.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I agree. I mean, look, Chiellini's probably going to stay next season, but he needs to assume a role like, remember in Barzaghi's last season?
Yeah.
The last 10 minutes, when you're winning and you need to keep the win, bring on Chiellini just for the last 10 minutes, but he shouldn't be a starter, you know. He's finished in that regard. He had a good game in the Euros, but if you're talking across a 38-game season plus Champions League matches, he can't be your option one. You've got De Ligt there, and we've got to go for a younger option. You know, Demiral has got a lot of potential, but he's also got a fantastic resale price, which may well force our hand.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm gonna add to what Rob just said, because I agree with him, is that the room for the kind of player like what Chiellini should do next season is only one. There is only one spot, so Chiellini stays. It means Bonucci should leave. You know, it's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I'm not a fan of Bonucci, not since he left for Milan, and everything he does since he came back, I've been, extremely harsh on him for that reason, and I'm probably not going to stop now. So that's it. I don't like the way you never hear him talking on the pitch, and then when he's on the bench, he's up in the stand, and you can hear his voice on the cameras all the time. It just wrecks my head. He's not a leader, and he's not much of a senator in my eyes, basically. So, but what do I know? I'm going to move on, guys. Miralem Pjanic has been linked again with Juventus. These links won't go away. Apparently, the papers are saying that Allegri wants him. Wants him, and that negotiations could start. There's a friendly due to take place between Barca and Juventus in the off season. They're saying negotiations could start, and it's looking like it's going to be a loan. What would you think?
Oh, I mean, no, not for me. I mean, he had a very, very good. I think it was his first year with us. But if you look over those 4 years he was at Juventus, year by year, year on year, his stats, goals and assists, key passes, diminished every year, one year at a time.
Yeah.
Last year I thought that was a fantastic deal to get our toy in exchange and all of that money for him. He's so casual on the ball. It drives me absolutely nuts. especially if he's playing in front of the defence. He really does put the shitters up me. So yeah, for no, not for me. If he does come on loan, if we turn around and we get rid of Ramsey, and we get rid of either Bentancur or Rabiot, one of the two, then maybe get rid of somebody else, and he comes in as maybe one of the options as a cheap option, then okay. If you're going to be, but if he comes in and as a starter in that midfield and is the alternative to Locatelli, then it's going to be, it's not very, it's not inspiring for the new season.
Yeah. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about an alternative to Locatelli. If they get Locatelli, he's going to be the other guy. But we don't even know what system Allegri's going to play with yet. This could, he could go for a two across midfield with an attacking midfielder in a 4-2-3-1 situation. It could be a 4-3-3. It could even be a 4-4-2. We don't know. So yeah, for me, it's a thumbs down. I'm not interested in Pjanic coming back, but I see the logic. What do you think, Andrea? Would you have him back?
The stats that Rob was quoting right now are to read only in one way. That Pjanic is very, very close to the end of his career, and right now that's not exactly what we're looking for. No. At the same time, a couple of days ago, we were talking with Colin, and I said the good thing is that he is a Juventus supporter, so that we don't know. But it's also there is also the possibility that he said, guys, I can cut my salary, and better than go playing to China. I can stay in the bench. Just in case. I mean, I'm a storyteller. I'm just getting inventive. But it is true that he's a Juventus supporter, and it's true that he left with a little bit of bitterness in his mouth.
Yeah.
So that there is also that possibility, and in that case, I see Juventus holding on the possibility of bringing him back, depending on how the market goes.
Yeah, it seems like, I think you're right. It seems like it could be an option if we're desperate, because we know Barcelona don't really want him, and his son, I can't remember what age his son is, but his son is pretty young, and he went to school in Torino and all of this. So having just been away for a year, it probably wouldn't be too much of a strain for him to come back to Torino, after just 1 year away, have to uproot your family. It would be different if he'd been maybe 3 or 4 years away. But yeah, I think, if we're stuck towards the end of the market, he might be an option, but certainly not a first option. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the loan players. So we know we've got loads of players out on loan. We shifted Douglas Costa. He's gone to Grêmio. We've got Mattia De Sciglio in France. We've got Danilo Rugani, I believe. I can't even remember where he is.
Cagliari.
And Cagliari, yeah. And who else have we got? We've got the left back, Pellegrini. Yeah. What do you guys think of them? Are any of them an option for Juventus, realistically? Should we be looking at them?
I don't think so. Pellegrini struggled this season. I see a lot of talk from Juventus fans saying, why didn't we give Pellegrini a chance? And I understand that, because Alex Sandro has been declining as well in the last few years. So sometimes with a player like Pellegrini, they need to be at the bigger club to perform. Sometimes at these provincial clubs, they struggle. Tactically, they're asked to do things that that they wouldn't be asked to do at Juventus.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen enough from him to tell me that he's going to be the answer at left back. And if he's not going to come in and be potentially a starter, then I don't see the point in keeping him. I mean, he's got a resale value, and I know I'm sounding like I'm a right tight so-and-so today. I just want to sell everyone, but he's got a price tag that's going to, maybe attract some business. We really got to prove that in that position. I don't think he does it for us.
It is true that, like on Alexandro, I don't think we can talk about like declining, but I believe he has been squeezed like a sponge in the last 2 years. Every time he was not injured, he will play from the first minute. He's one of the players that played most minutes. So. And if you notice, Alexandro played one bad game right after he comes back from an injury, and then he starts to do a couple, like 2 or 3 games, and then you got another bad one, But I believe it's a problem that is getting older, and we have him playing too much. Maybe Pellegrini might be a good substitution. But still counting on Alexandro as a first choice for the next season, because Allegri likes to work on the singular player, So there is already potential on Pellegrini in terms of reselling him. Imagine if he comes to Torino, he does a good season as a second left winger. And who knows? The next year we decide if selling him or how you say, upgrading him from to first choice.
Yeah, and I think that the thing, I mean that's how we have perhaps not had the best balance in the squad the last couple of years, and we were a bit reticent to play De Sciglio out there. I mean, we sort of put a square peg in a round hole with Danilo playing out on the left as well. And I do not think Frabotta is the answer for sure. Not he's not the answer. So it's interesting. And I think that we cannot replace all the players that we want to replace. We haven't got the money, so we have to be really, really picky. Well, what is the positions which are really key to us? But and it depends on the kid as well, because the kid's he's very young. Does he want to come back and be second fiddle? He might say, I want to play every week. So, but ultimately this is a discussion.
Also, it's also possible. You're right.
Yeah. Colin,
it's hard to know. Maxi's saying Pellegrini's the only one that he could stay because Sandro needs a rest. I think Andrea was saying that. Juve boy, he's talking about Pjanic. He says, remember the 3-0 win against Barca? Pjanic got destroyed that evening and hardly played any minutes for Barca, and we want to recall him. We need to do better, guys. I kind of agree with you there as well, 100%. So, yeah. I mean, I'm going to move on. So, I mean, what do you think of Rugani? Sorry, we didn't really touch on him. Do you think... Is he an option to? Oh my god!
Do you know what?
Like, how are we going to find a place to send these guys?
If we can get a fridge freezer and put a Juventus shirt over the fridge freezer and put it in the back line, then I would prefer that to Rugani. But
just put it over the goal line with tech in it.
Yeah,
at least it'd be some use. Yeah.
When we talk about the characters and personality problems, that's exactly the kind of player we don't need right now. Unfortunately, I don't mean to be mean with Rugani, but sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, Andrea is here to moderate the frustration. But what was I going to say? Like that's why I don't want Dragusin to go, because it makes Rugani a little bit more likely to stay, and especially if we get rid of Demiral as well. It's just like where are the centre backs going to come out of, guys? we're looking to get rid of Bonucci, Demiral, and Dragusin in one go, and there's nobody else.
7, and it's
yeah. So
one.
then you're stuck with the likes of Rugani. You know, we've screwed ourselves over a lot in the last couple of years with players. You know, our hand has been forced at times, like with Spinazzola. You know, a very good left back in my opinion. I know some people disagree, or the other way, this guy over here. But you know, we had to let him go, and I think he's a fantastic player. We had to let Romero go as well, and he's proven to be a fantastic player.
Shame.
An absolute shame. Like, there's a centre back that half the teams in Europe are going to be chasing this guy for the summer, guaranteed. As soon as the Copa America is over, he's going to find a new. You know, if he wants to, he could move to the Premier League easily. And he'll be good. Like, he's shown himself in the Champions League against top sides like Liverpool, and you know, he hasn't looked out of depth at all. So, I mean, what would I say? For Maxi, he's coming in. He says Rabiot just hit the post. What do you think, Andrea? Are you watching the game?
Yeah. I didn't want to interrupt you, but it was a beautiful pass, passing through by Griezmann. And Rabiot from the left side hit the ball and hit the post. Actually, it was a great action by France. They're playing good, and again. Next year, my midfield is Rabiot, Bentancur, Pogba.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
Right,
Controversial.
That's ambitious. You obviously think Ronaldo's going to go to Manchester United, do you?
Me?
Yeah. How are you going to get Pogba?
Well, you know what Maxi always says about Dybala, Pogba, like an exchange, Dybala, Pogba. Not really thinking about Ronaldo.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm just dreaming, guys. I'm just dreaming about Pogba, not thinking how can I make it happen. It's not me making it happen anyway. So
we've been linked with Tolisso, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think someone put that in the comments earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, an interesting player, powerful, and he would take Ramsey's space in the car park of the medical centre for sure. He's got an absolutely horrendous medical record. I was looking at it the other day. It's just the guy cannot stay fit for you know, gets out of bed and he tears his groin. So it's just that's the only but a powerful player. Obviously he starts for France. He's not a bad player, Tolisso, but
no, I believe they already if you go on Twitter you can already find the hashtag Tolisso out.
Oh really? Okay. Oh right, okay. Yeah.
I'm sure. We've been tracking him for a couple of years. Since before he went to Bayern Munich. But you know, I remember when he went to Munich and he started getting injured, and we were all, you know, relieved. It was like, why? Thank God we didn't get that fella, you know. But we got Ramsey instead, and he's just about the worst since Khedira. I actually think Ramsey's been injured more than Khedira. I could be wrong though. If anybody wants to prove me wrong, I just feel like Ramsey just he could get injured in training. Most of his injuries come in training. He mightn't play for 2 games and he's just training away and it's fine. And then in the week coming up to a game, he gets injured for no reason whatsoever. He hasn't played at all in 3 weeks and he gets injured. You're like, how are you getting injured? You know, and of course he made some comments recently then in the lead up to the Wales game, talking about, you know, his own medical team and his own fitness team, and you know, he was glad to be back in their hands, you know, and a lot of Juventus fans took that up as a slight against J Medical and all the services we've provided him since he's come to Torino. And what did you guys think? Personally, I was quite annoyed at it.
I was not calling, because when the media comes out with this kind of news, so when Ramsey talked about that, I know how easy it is for media to to turn the words in the way they want. And I believe our feeling towards Ramsey saying that it's a little inducted by the way they told us the story. But at the same time, I was not bothered, because first of all, I understand Ramsey, that is looking. I guess he wants to keep working, no? He wants to keep playing. And after the season with Juventus, it's not going to be easy to find a job. So in this case, I believe Ramsey is also selling himself a little bit, no? And say, look, okay, I come from a very tough time, but at the same time, I believe I can improve the way I work on my body, etc., etc. And the second thing I want to say, let's come down, because I mean we don't know what the difference is between the J Medical and Ramsey's team are, because that are like the injury that Ramsey had is a very delicate injury. In Italy, especially in Rome, where we have like a big names in the field. In Italy, they usually that's usually a very common situation, that they try to have them coming back on the pitch too soon, too quickly. So it begins a chain of events where they never get to the best shape, and they keep getting injured on different spots of their bodies. So we don't know. We shouldn't blame Ramsey, because he didn't actually say "fuck Juventus," they destroyed me. He just said, "I'm happy that right now." What should he say? "Oh, I'm gonna miss Juventus J Medical. Thank you for everything you guys did it for me, and now I gotta go back to my medical team." I mean, I'm not expecting him to say that.
No, that's very a very Switzerland type answer. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not too concerned with the comments. I mean, journalists do try to twist words, don't they? And they do try to introduce context to that doesn't exist. So I'm not too concerned with his comments. But in terms of actually what he contributes, and you drew the comparison to Khedira earlier. Don't forget, when Khedira first came in the first couple of years, he contributed a lot. He was a very important player, really tactically aware. Got back, got forward into the box. Really positionally was fantastic for us. So, I mean, Ramsey for 400,000 a week, or whatever it is. I mean, he's not fit to lace Khedira's boots. He's been really unlucky with injuries, of course. Going back to his Arsenal days, when he had that horrific injury playing for Arsenal against Stoke City, when Ryan Shawcross nearly took his leg off. It was an absolutely horrendous injury, and he's never recovered from it. And he keeps getting niggling injuries. It's all a consequence. You go back to that initial injury all those years ago. He's obviously got a lot of weakness in his muscles, and for us to take him up, there's no such thing as a free transfer. For us to pick him up and pay him 400,000 a week plus bonuses and whatever else, it's a crazy decision. Decision. His resale value was never going to. I mean, even if the idea was from the beginning, let's get him, pay him just the wages, no transfer fee, and in 2 years' time we'll sell him and get a little bit of profit. It's going to be such a tiny profit, and you're going to get zero productivity from him. He's not suited to. I don't think he's suited to the game in Italy. For someone who gets himself into some really good positions on the pitch, his finishing is diabolical. Lack of flair at times. For where he plays, it was just a crazy decision. I think that's probably the worst decision that we made from a management perspective in terms of acquisitions in the last 10 years. One of the worst ones, if not the worst.
Probably yes, and it's very sad to admit that, because I had great hopes when we signed him. I mean, I thought I didn't know him that much, because I don't follow Premier League like constantly, consistently. See, but at the same time, I hope we actually signed a great player, and it's a shame he actually went through all this. Unlucky situation, because yes, it was probably the worst signing of the last 10 years for Juventus.
Yeah, terrible. I'm going to cut across you there, guys. Apparently, it's official. Morata, his loan has been renewed from Atletico Madrid.
Very good.
I didn't realize. I just saw it there now. So yeah, we were kind of talking about that earlier on, so we can kind of move on. What was I going to say? I wanted to talk about Tech, guys. Another calamitous error from Tech, this time for Poland. I said it in the past that I felt he had a terrible season. He made a number of those errors where the ball just seemed to go through him, particularly at the near post. And for me, that's kind of, if you have a goalkeeper of his experience level doing that kind of stuff on a regular basis, like, 2-3 times a season, there's very little you can do coaching wise to improve that, because he's at a certain age. What do you guys think? Do you think we should try and shift him on, or Andrea? I see heads shaking. What do you think, Andrea?
No, I mean, it was unlucky. It was a very, very unfortunate. It was a mistake by Chesney, but not that big mistake. I think he did worse with Juventus. I don't know if we need to switch Chesney with somebody else, because I don't know who we have on the other side. When they were talking about Donnarumma, if you tell me, would you like to sign Donnarumma and get rid? I mean, sell Chesney? I would say yes. My opinion, yes, I would do that.
Yes,
but at the same time, right now, you're not putting anybody on the other side of the deal, so I don't know what to answer.
Yeah. What do you think, Rob? Would you get rid of him?
So just on that, with that own goal yesterday, he became the first goalkeeper to score a goal at an own goal at the Euros in the history of the Euros. So we've got another record breaker, and you don't want to sell your record breakers, So he, he's look. I don't think that he's going to last as long as some goalkeepers do. Like, he's 30, what is he, 32 now? 31, 32?
Something like that,
Something like that. I don't think he's got the longevity that some of the great goalkeepers do. I think he's already starting to slow down when he's getting down to low shots. His agility, from my perspective, is diminishing slightly. That being said, we can't afford to replace Tech. But what we can afford to do is make sure that his number 2 next season is a decent number 2. Put pressure on him.
Yeah.
Not Mirante from Roma, which we've been linked to. He would fulfill the homegrown quota. That's maybe why we've been linked with him. But in terms of ability, he's a calamity of a goalkeeper. And we would be someone like, someone better. Aldero I would have liked, but I think he's going to cost too much money as well. So it's going to probably be Sirigu is someone else to be linked to, who's certainly better than bloody Mirante. If we get Mirante, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Who else? So I was actually going to bring up Sirigu. They were saying that the transfer could suit Torino as well, who need the money, obviously. And Kylian Mbappe is after scoring a cracker, guys. It's been called off. Excuse me. So the other name that's been mentioned has been Sergio Romero, the Argentine. But key in this is he's actually got an Italian passport as well. So I don't know. I mean, what's your perspective in him? Have you seen him play? I know he hasn't played much for United. But I've always been told that he's very good in any time he's had a chance. You know,
when I've seen him at Manchester United in the few games he did play as De Gea's number 2, they were calling him the best number 2 in the Premier League. He's a very good goalkeeper, and we could certainly obviously get him because they've got Dean Henderson and De Gea. They've got 2 goalkeepers competing for the number 1 shot. Yeah, he's certainly someone we should look at, and if we could do a deal, do it. But as I said, it's not a priority area. We just need to make sure that the number 2 is decent and enough pressure on Szczesny.
Yeah. So what did I want to move on to? We're going to give it about another 5 or 10 minutes, guys. I'm going to jump in here. From Maxi is saying, unfortunately, Tech had the same problems at Arsenal after a couple of years. That's why they gave him on to Roma. Yeah, I don't understand it. I scratch my head when I see goalkeepers not blocking a shot at their near post, especially when they're in position. If you're in position, I mean, I don't know what else you can do. Like, if you're not in position, you can teach a goalkeeper that. But if he's in position and the shot comes, doesn't matter how powerful. If it's straight at him at his near post and he still lets it through him, I don't know. I'm not particularly talking about the Polish incident, but he's done that a couple of times for Juventus this year. And for me, if I have an option, and it doesn't cost too much, I'd change. So yeah, that's just me. I wanted to jump on to a little bit of Superlega talk. ADL made some comments about Agnelli today. I'm going to read them out to you just in case you haven't heard. What does he say? So the headline is, he says, he's talking about Juventus. He says, they wanted to become the main players in the system, but democratically, we must leave the door open to everyone. So he's kind of talking like it's, football for the people, according to Aurelio De Laurentiis.
Yeah. Football for the people, but this is the man that wanted to reduce the stadium, build a stadium that would only have, 15,000-20,000 people, because, he wanted to create a pitch or a stadium like a cinema. He said something along those lines, didn't he? I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. He's just a showman, an absolute tosser.
He owns the rights of his players, guys.
Yeah.
Not his players.
Yeah.
They sign a contract. Their copyrights are all for Napoli. I mean, that's kind of unusual if you think about that.
Very unusual.
No, but Colin, it's just as Rob was saying, it's just a showman, and he's trying to be a populist in this particular occasion. But what bothers me is the trend, because it happened to me in the last few weeks to talk about that with Americans like soccer fan, not specifically Juventus supporters or Inter supporters, just fan based, and they actually believe to all this propaganda that UEFA started about the soccer for the people, and Super League being the big demon, like the evil, trying to steal it from them, when it's not true. I mean, it's quite the opposite. What these teams are trying to do is to save soccer, because the reason why we don't have cash to make our market is because we don't have a system that actually sponsor us in the manner we should be sponsored, counting what we not only Juventus, but Juventus, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United, think to the big teams, how much they gave, how much they invested in terms of efforts, in terms of money, players that they give to football in the last 200 years. So why should we let this system just die by itself because of the situation that we're living right now? that bothers me. The fact that a lot of people actually believes that. I think it's a big problem, and we need to find a way to make them open the eyes.
Yeah, I think we're going to. It's a good point, and I think that in order to make them realize, as Andrea put it, it's going to take time, and I think it's going to they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. See, the concept itself was a great idea in respect of taking the money, taking the control away from UEFA, bringing it, privately. And have this new competition where the money would be fairly distributed, and there'd be more of the profits going to the club who have invested their times and their money and efforts over a prolonged period. The issue was that the communication was lacking, severely lacking. So they need to wait, I think, and come back with a new. New design, a new way of how it's going to be sold. Because I mean, UEFA's name is in the last few years has been dragged through the mud. UEFA and FIFA, and then you have what happened with the rumours that they told Denmark, if they didn't play the match after Christian Eriksen had the situation on the pitch, that they would have to forfeit the match. If you get the communication right and you structure what it is you're trying to achieve, and you can stop the arguments about it being elitist, or stop the arguments about these 12 clubs only looking after themselves, then you could potentially drag people alongside with you. The whole rhetoric that it was, especially from the English clubs, that it was, that they pulled out because of the fans. They didn't pull out because of the fans. It's nonsense. No. They couldn't give a shit about the fans. They didn't pull out. They knew how the fans were going to react. The English clubs knew how their fans would react. Absolutely, they knew. Something has happened. And when I say something has happened, money has happened. And they've signed a new deal, but and you can see that money's happened because that's reflected in the fines that they've received. So all this big, situation where we're talking about banning them and relegating them and points deductions, they've got a £3 million fine each. That's it, which was probably paid by the Premier League. So it's all for show.
Very possible.
It's a token punishment. My Freddie's coming in here, says, guys, a quick hello before I go back to work. Andrea, soccer is an illegal word. So you learn. Then he says, soccer or sucker, so that's Paolo. Enjoy work. Don't work too hard now, Paolo, whatever you do. And so, I mean, just to get on to the main news of the evening, it's official, Juventus will be in the Champions League next year. So we've had two breaking news tonight on the show. Apparently a letter was sent to Juventus, Real Madrid and Barcelona dated the 14th, so yesterday. Juve will be in there. It doesn't mean that the legal battle is over with, but in my view, I think everything is stacked in the Superlega club's favor. I think because they have this ruling in the Spanish commercial court, I think if UEFA appeal to that, it's very, very unlikely they're going to get a result out of it. We know that the Swiss are on our side as well. It's always handy to have those guys. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see Juventus. I don't see them getting punished. I don't think there's a legal basis for what they're doing. We also know then that there is another court case going to start, which is, I think it's the European Union Court of Justice. I'm not sure, but it's going to be about UEFA's right to have a monopoly on football. There's very few other sports out there where something like that is allowed. I don't know what to say. I'm completely against it. I agree with you guys. I think I agree with Roberto completely, because if it's dealt with properly, when you look at the facts of the situation with UEFA, you should have no problem actually, winning people over. UEFA are completely corrupt organization. FIFA exactly the same. They do nothing, only try to make money out of football, and that's it. They don't care about, and I'm looking at the European Championships. I looked at a game earlier on, the Hungarian game, full stadium. Commentators said at the start of the game that the fans were all told to wear masks going into the game. Nothing was done. Absolutely none of them wearing masks. And it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, like, Hungary are allowing people full stadium. Like, does that not, it's great to have a full stadium. Don't get me wrong, and I love watching a game of football, with the proper acoustics and atmosphere and all of that. But does it not kind of stick out to anyone that, is it a bit soon? Do you know what I mean? Have they just got an incredible vaccination record? Or, like, is it a bit soon to be having a game with a full stadium like that? And to me, the answer is in UEFA. UEFA don't give a shit, guys. They don't care. They don't care if you go to a match and catch COVID. They don't give a damn. They don't care about Christian Eriksen. Do you think they care about the punter who's just paying for a ticket? Absolutely not. And like, pretty much every show I've done in the last while, I've closed with a very resounding Chefrin out, guys. Something has to happen. Yeah. Like, we've got
because soccer is for the people, but money is for UEFA.
Money's for UEFA, but soccer's for the people. We're not allowed to make money.
I need to leave you. Sorry, I need to leave you guys because unfortunately I'm in a rush. Robbie, it was very nice to meet you, and I hope
to meet you. And we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to close up now, anyway, guys. I'm going to say ciao, ragazzi. And I'm going to say, give me some likes, give me the comments, and subscribe if you want to stay up to date. So, yeah. Best of luck, guys.
See you later.